It's Tuesday, the 8th of June 2021. Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Headlines, the business news you need in just 5 minutes. I'm Sean Aylmer. In today's headlines, 4 listed companies, including National Australia Bank and the big casinos, warned about anti-money laundering in their businesses. Plus, Australia's AAA rating confirmed, making it cheaper to borrow money. Job ads surged to be 40% higher than a year ago, and global app Pinterest to become a shopping site. Our lead story today, financial intelligence regulator AUSTRAC has warned 4 listed companies, National Australia Bank and the casinos, Crown Resorts, Star Entertainment and Sky City Entertainment, that it's concerned about money laundering through their operations. Some of these allegations date back more than 6 years, the regulator said, but the warning triggered a sell-off in the share prices of the companies. AUSTRAC wrote to National Australia Bank saying it had serious concerns about its compliance with the law. It was alarmed about customer identification procedures and ongoing customer due diligence. Both Commonwealth Bank and Westpac have already paid heavy fines over anti-money laundering breaches. NAB boss Ross McEwen conceded the bank's processes needed improvement, notwithstanding it already invested more than $800 million into its control and processes. The regulator also wrote to the casinos about potential non-compliance with anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism laws. In Crown's case, the casino conceded it illegally transferred more than $160 million for international guests from the Melbourne Crown Towers hotel cards for use on gambling. The transactions occurred between 2012 and 2016. Banks and casinos have attempted to pick up their game recently. Not that there's ever any reason to allow money laundering, though it's not always that easy to catch. In overseas news, India has announced free vaccinations for all people above the age of 18. The country, which has been hardest hit by COVID-19 in recent months, has already doled out 232 million jabs, but only 3% of the population is fully vaccinated. The country is still recording 100,000 new cases and more than 2,000 deaths each day. The big airlines in Britain and the United States have issued a joint request for the resumption of travel between the two countries, saying economic recoveries in both economies were being held back. The US-UK route is the most lucrative in the world, and the airlines, including Delta, United, American Airlines, JetBlue, British Airways and Virgin Atlantic, said leisure and business trips could restart without undermining efforts to combat COVID-19. And the global semiconductor chip shortage will last well into next year, according to one of the world's largest manufacturers, meaning cars and consumer technology products will be delayed. Singapore-based Flex said there could be chip shortages right into 2023. Locally, the federal government and major banks will be able to borrow relatively cheaply in international credit markets after S&P Global Ratings revised the government's AAA rating to stable. S&P welcomed Australia's strong economic rebound and said it was more confident that the government could control debt levels. A AAA rating allows the government and major banks to access money at lower interest rates. Job ads jumped by nearly 8% in May and were close to 40% higher than before the pandemic, according to the ANZ Job Ads Survey. The data adds to the growing weight of evidence that the employment market, which pleasantly surprised authorities even throughout the pandemic, was stronger than forecast. ANZ said it expects the unemployment rate to fall to 4.4% by the end of next year. It's currently 5.6%. In state news, West Australian Premier Mark McGowan will mandate the vaccination of aged care workers against the coronavirus. He'll be the first state or territory leader to do so. In Victoria, there were 11 new community-transmitted cases yesterday, all linked to known carriers. Melbourne's lockdown is due to finish on Thursday, and yesterday Prime Minister Scott Morrison called on the state's government to end it as soon as possible. But media reports this morning suggest a full easing of restrictions won't occur until after the upcoming long weekend. Meanwhile, New South Wales launched its intergenerational report yesterday and said to pursue its stamp duty reforms, which would abolish large payments every time someone bought a house, it needed federal government support. The report said the state will need to build 1.7 million homes over the next 40 years, and replacing stamp duty with an annual land tax would reduce the time taken to save for a house to 8 years from 10 years. And finally, styling app Pinterest will launch new shopping features in Australia, following the boom in social commerce during the COVID-19 pandemic. Australia will be filled with so-called shoppable pins, which are saved searches that provide an opportunity for pinners to buy direct. For any person out there with a partner who is a pinner, this is bad news. For the Pinterest clan, off you go. That's the Fear and Greed business headlines for today. Make sure you hit follow so you get it every morning. And if you'd like more detail and more stories, search for our longer daily podcast called Fear and Greed. We also release a daily interview. Today we're talking to Daniel Hines from ANZ about the amazing run of commodities. I'll be back later with the afternoon market report. I'm Sean Aylmer. Have a great day.